everybody, and welcome to On the Block. I'm Ed Wilkinson. Today I'm in the Flushing Whitestone area at St. Mel's Church, and we're going to talk with its pastor, Father Joe Fonti. Father Joe, good to see you.
Hello, Ed. Welcome.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're an interesting story because you're almost like a throwback here, because you went through the whole priestly formation system here in the diocese: prep seminary, high school, college. Not too many guys do that anymore, right?
Yes, we're smaller in number, but we're known as lifers. In the tradition, it was 4 years of high school, 4 years of college, and then 4 years of seminary. Mm-hmm. So I did have the joy and the privilege of having that experience, at least Cathedral Prep Brooklyn, and then Cathedral Douglaston, Cathedral College Douglaston.
And then you went off to North America in Rome, right?
I got an extra blessing, an extra privilege to go off to Rome.
We'll get to that, but where did the idea of being a priest first dawn on you?
I would have to say, it's been cultivated at home. My mom was a very devout daily communicant, and the proximity to the church wasn't just by block. It was in our own home. I mean, priests and nuns were at our house. The Josephite sisters, I think, were probably the first in Immaculate Heart of Mary to really help me discern. One of them, heard my desire, and the next one said, maybe you should talk to Father about it. And the priest at the time who I, really felt inspired by was Jerry Langelia, Monsignor Langelia. Mm-hmm. So Monsignor Langelia was a great influence, not only to me, but to many of the young men in the parish, of what it meant to be a parish priest. Very available, very visible, very joyful, someone who, inspired me at the altar, but also to see that priesthood was lived even beyond, the confines of the church. And I remember going to him and saying, Father, I want to be like you. That is exactly what I said. And he didn't just, give me the little pat on the back and say it's a nice thought. He said, you know what? There's a great place called Cathedral Prep. I went to school there, and our diocese has that as a place for you to go. And he took me, and the rest is
That was a great place. I mean, Brooklyn Cathedral was a special place, right?
That's amazing, and it was a challenged area for us, but never thought of it as an obstacle to going to school. If anything, you wanted to be there, and we had amazing priests on faculty. I think that
they were really good role models, strong role models, right?
Parish priests, men who inspired us, who taught us, but also gave us like that desire to want to be like them in service to God's people.
And it was a tough place. It wasn't an easy academic road that you had to go through, right?
No, it was small in number. We were always small classes, so you couldn't hide, but also the rigor was there, and they wanted us to be educated and to see that priesthood wasn't just some piety. It was, ultimately, if that's what you went on to, you had to be a man who understood life, the world, people, and it was really instilled in us very young.
Yeah, and as you went through, you were always challenged, right? It was a real time of discernment.
Oh, yeah.
They always challenged you. Is this what you really want to do, right?
And I felt that the invitation for introspection was very much instilled at me at Cathedral, to be able to look at myself and not to be afraid of God, or to be afraid of looking at myself in light of God, and to try to grow in maturity and understanding of life within the desires for faith in life, and so it was Cathedral was probably my happiest experience of a seminary overall.
Then you get thrown into a bigger pool, so to speak, out in Douglaston, right?
Which was challenging, It was, a freestanding college, but one that gave liberal arts education within a formation house. And I think some of the challenges for me there were probably, the fact that it was the dwindling years of Cathedral, so you kind of got a little sense of
the numbers
were going down. One of the benefits was definitely the tri-diocesan experience. So men from Rockville Center, men from New York, they are still my good friends to this day. We're the camaraderie and the brotherhood among us, whether we're in collar or not, the brotherhood was really strong there. And great priests, a lot of saged priests that probably taught you in the seminary, men who were there a long time. But years that I appreciated for the sake of growth that took place there.
And you know, while you were going through school, you also had another source of encouragement because you had a nice summer job, didn't you?
I did. When I was at Cathedral, it was walking distance to the Chancery, which was the original place, 75 Green Avenue, and several of the students were invited to have summer employment at the Chancery. Little did I know, you know, it would be a 7-year stint for me. So I was there for 7 summers and also winter break, and got to personally get to see the diocese from that angle and meet great people like yourself and Bishop McGovern, who really became like a grandfather, and just solid Catholic laymen and women who worked there, and the priests. It was really a great experience for me.
And then you got picked to go to Rome. You know, so there were a certain number of students when they graduated from college, they'd chosen to go to Rome to the North American College. What was that experience? That must have been a very, you know, broadening experience because you meet guys from all over the world. You get a better sense of the universal church.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, I didn't expect to go. I mean, usually they pick the higher guys or the 4.0 guys. I wasn't in that, you know, realm, but they invited me to go, and I ultimately decided. I think that was probably, you know, the universality of the church. Any man who studied there cannot deny that. I think I grew in a healthier sense of patriotism while I was at the North American. New Yorkers are very provincial. You know, south for me was Jersey, and north for me was Albany. But to realize that, you know, the men that lived on my hallway were from Kalamazoo and from Kansas City, and, you know, places that I had never heard of, and many of them coming from different experiences of the church, let alone life, and that really helped me tremendously. Then to go to school and university with people throughout the world was amazing.
And what language did they teach you?
I studied at the Angelicum, which had both an Italian and an English track. I studied with the Dominicans, so grateful to know that John Paul II went there, Cardinal Dolan went there, Cardinal O'Brien, and I studied there and went to the English program for the first 3 years, and then I went off to the Teresianum for 2 years of a licentiate in spiritual theology with the Carmelites.
What do you remember about ordination? Were you ordained in Rome or here?
I was ordained a deacon at St. Peter's, and I remember it being, you know, a time of, you know, great anticipation. Your 4th year of theology, you're invited to orders and called to orders. Cardinal Laghi ordained my classmates and I. And it was also time for our families to come over because of the distance and the cost and all. People didn't come other than that one time. So I had my family. It was a great reunion. My parents got to see a lot of their cousins that they, you know, my grandparents are from Italy. But that memory was very profound, and just the, you know, to be at the chair of Peter, to be ordained, was just very much of a leaving a lasting impression for me of what it meant to be part of a Catholic community, and to see that, you know, Rome influences the church and guides the church, and now you're part of that.
And how about ordination day for priesthood?
That was amazing. Bishop Daly ordained me June 27th of '92 at St. James Cathedral, and I was ordained alone because I came home after classes, and classmates were ordained in May. But that was a privilege to be ordained at the cathedral, which you know, had such fond memories for me as a boy from Cathedral Prep, you know, and
St. James.
St. James, and to know how many men before me had been ordained there.
All right, we're going to take a quick break now, and when we come back, we're going to talk about your assignments, particularly about St. Mel's here and what's going on here. So, you're watching On the Block. We're going to come right back, so stay where you are. Welcome back to On the Block. I'm Ed Wilkinson, talking today with Father Joe Fonti, who's the pastor here at St. Mel's in the Flushing Whitestone area. Most people say Flushing, but it's so close, right?
Yes, we have a considerable amount of parishioners in Whitestone. So
now you've had several assignments. You've already been a pastor, and then you were the rector, the president at Cathedral Prep, right?
Rector president of Cathedral Prep.
Yeah, rector president there. And now here you are as a pastor at St. Mel's. What kind of a parish is it here at St. Mel's in terms of ethnicity and the people who come to church?
It's again, one of the hidden gems, I think, of the diocese. Sometimes people don't know, where this part of northern Queens is. And for me, I'm very much a Brooklyn guy, so it was a learning curve for me too. But I found, as I found in all my assignments, an amazing welcome, a very devout and generous people who come from all different walks of life. We still have first-generation Irish, Italian. We still have Mass in Italian here every week, Croatian. We have people from different experiences of Asia, Korea, China. So it's both old world and new world, and nicely mixed. It's a residential area, a lot of families, and just serene. To hear cicadas at night and not car alarms is a very different experience for me. But I think the people are beautiful in their own worship, and they're very, it's a smaller of a parish because we were 80 years old this year, and we're born off of St. Luke's and St. Andrew's, both of which are very prominent and larger parishes. St. Mel's is a little more humble, not even in its size of a building, but it's very big in its outreach and its spirit, which really moves me.
Now, when you were assigned here, just a couple of years ago now, the school was in a time of transition,
yes.
Right? Tell us a little bit about that and what the school really means to the parish community here.
Well, like any parish that has the privilege and blessing of a school, I think the people, really do take pride in it, especially in the parish like this one where the generations are multiple. So you have third or fourth generation still here. So they would have went to the school, and they've supported the school with their own investment of children and grandchildren. So there is that, dedication to education. But, with the challenges that all our areas have with different shifts, the shift here was multiple. And Bishop asked me to come here, leave Cathedral, and to come here to help with some of those challenges with the school, having known my background with schooling. And unfortunately, it was on some unstable ground. And during COVID, the diocese decided that it might be better for us, given all the challenges that would have been to schools anyway with COVID, to close. And my stubbornness and my passion for school and knowing that I represented the true spirit of St. Mel, the people here that wanted it, we were able to, with the bishop's blessing, open up, or as I like to say, restart the school. And we restarted it, as I had hoped that we would see, as a early childhood center. So we were able to, with the bishop's blessing and with our own pledge of maintaining a stable program for a couple of years, have a program that's dedicated to early childhood experience, so that would be from nursery to third grade. So last year we had an amazing, successful year, even in the midst of COVID. We stayed open the whole time.
And the students were present, right? You stayed open?
Yeah, our students were never closed. And I'm happy to say this year we added a fourth grade.
Okay.
So we are moving in the direction of continuing the great tradition that has been St. Mel's of educating, the support of our families, the newcomers, just the parish pride is just been added, adding a lot more to the success.
So you hope someday to have a full 8th grade system?
If that's what happens, or maybe work within the context of a regional understanding of schooling, if the diocese is thinking that way. But definitely, to say that, to be dedicated to a pledge of school, I think yes.
Yeah. And how about the finances of the school? Are they students who come, are they able to hit the tuition, or is there a financial assistance program?
I would say we do have outreach for families that might need the extra support to make it, and a lot of people who receive it, I've seen, when they get to where they need to be, a more stable ground, then offer to help somebody else. But I think by virtue of this community, people are pretty honorable and supporting the school, and if they, they're making their tuition payments, we usually have that as a challenge here.
Well, great. Thanks for giving us a little tour here of St. Mel's. We're going to be talking with the principal of the school next in our next segment. So thank you for your time, and thanks for being with us today.
I'm glad you're here.
All right? But stay with us. As I said, we will be talking with the principal of St. Mel's School next. Coming right up, so stay right where you are. Welcome back to On the Block. I'm Ed Wilkinson, and joining us now is the principal of St. Mel's Catholic Academy, Amy Barron. Now, when I say St. Mel's Catholic Academy, it's not a full 8 grades. Tell us a little bit about what's involved here at St. Mel's.
That's correct. Right now we are an early childhood center, and we serve students from nursery through grade 4. So our nursery program is expanding, which we're very happy about. And our 3rd graders have moved up to 4th grade. So we just have a nice group of children, and we're hoping to grow from there.
Yeah. Father Fonti was explaining to us that there was a transition there, that
Yes.
the school went through a little rocky time. What was that like? How did the school come out of that transition, do you feel?
It was a very difficult time. When I started here, we were missing 3 grades. And the school year started off well. You wouldn't even notice that those grades were missing because of the high energy and spirit that we had in the school, which was wonderful. And then, of course, the COVID pandemic happened, and we had to switch to remote learning. So during that time, we tried to continue to keep those relationships strong with our families. And then, unfortunately, we did receive the news that we would have to transition into an early childhood center. And although we mourned the loss of our upper grades, we knew that we had a strong foundation in the early childhood grades. So we just wanted to build from there. And so far, we've been very happy with the progress that our students and our school has been making.
How did the parish and the parents react to that? I mean, there's always that initial hurt,
Yes.
that a school is
Yes.
closing. And then when they found out that there was going to be a whole new start, a restart, as Father Fonti said, how did they react to that?
Well, there's always, I think we went through that period of mourning when we first found out, that the school was closing, the school that we knew was closing. But our Catholic faith is based on rebirth. And that's the way we chose to look at it here at St. Mel's, that unfortunately, one phase was ending, but a new phase was beginning. And many of our families, even the ones that had to leave, were still very supportive, of the school. They're still very involved in the parish, so we see them sometimes at parish events. And they're really excited to see the school continue to grow. And, we all hope for a bright future for our school.
What is the ethnic background of the kids who come to St. Mel's School?
It's a mix. I'd say it's predominantly about half Italian American and half Asian American, mostly from the Asians, mostly from a Chinese and Korean background.
And would that be reflective of the population of the parish, or do some of the students come from outside parish boundaries? Who do you attract?
Most of the students come from, if not within our parish, from neighboring parishes within the Whitestone, Bayside areas, Flushing areas.
Now, how do you handle religious education within the school? Are you able to teach religion to all the different classes?
We have religion classes for grades kindergarten through 4 because they are officially, part of the St. Mel's Catholic Academy. The early childhood, nursery, and pre-K programs are funded by the DOE, so they are UPK and 3K programs. So although we don't teach religion explicitly in those grades, we still consider them as part of our academy. Father Fonti comes in every day and he visits the children in all grades, even the little ones. So we make them feel like they're part of us, and they're not a separate entity. But regardless, we teach gospel values, through what we do, what we say, and how we live here at St. Mel's, and that's consistent through all grade levels.
Yeah. So you come from an education background, a Catholic
Yes.
school education background. Tell us a little bit about where you've taught before.
Well, I started my career teaching at St. Bridget in Bushwick. I taught 5th grade there for a few years, and then from there I moved on and I taught 7th and 8th grade. I have a math and science background, so I taught 7th and 8th grade math and science. And then from there I actually went to high school. I began teaching science at St. Joseph's Catholic High School in downtown Brooklyn, an all-girls school run by the Sisters of St. Joseph. And I taught there for many years, and I was still teaching while I was also the science department chair and then assistant principal. And then from there, I moved back here to St. Mel's.
How'd you find out about this job?
I got a call from the board chair one day while I was on vacation visiting my parents in Florida that there was an opening here. So.
Did you know anything about St. Mel's before you got here?
I knew a little bit about St. Mel's. I did know one of the former principals here because we had gone through the Fordham program together in administration. So I knew a little bit about the school. I did know that it was going to be a challenge coming here. I did know that there was an enrollment issue, at the time. I wasn't completely informed of the extent of the enrollment issue, but Father Fonti and I, when we met, we hit it off right away, and I think that we make a great team. And one of the things we immediately did was, even before the school year, we met with all of the parents here. We had a town hall meeting. We had open discussion. We wanted to know what the issues were. This way we could go about trying to solve them. We've identified some areas that needed improvement, and immediately we started working on those.
Yeah. What did the parents say to you? What did they see as the needs to improve the Catholic school system here in the parish?
Well, the big areas of concern at the time was lack of communication between the school and the home, lack of extracurricular activities within the school, and also they were a little concerned about the academic rigor in the upper grades. So those were the three areas that we decided to work on right away. In terms of communication, I started a weekly newsletter, and my parents know that they can email me at all times. I will always get back to them. I tell them, we have an open door policy. I want to hear their concerns. I want to hear their ideas, and that's how we build those bridges and work together.
Yeah. Do they send you their concerns through email?
Oh, yeah.
Email seems to be a very valuable tool these days.
Yeah, it's quick and it's easy, and I always tell them, even if I don't have an answer for you right away, I'll always say, okay, I will look into it and I will get back to you. But I think it's important that the parents always feel heard. Even if I can't grant all of their wishes, or if they have a concern and I don't have the answer at the moment, they need to feel that they're heard and they're listened to, and that we're on the same team.
Yeah.
And that's so important here.
What difference does a Catholic education make in the life of young people?
I think it's crucial. Kids they're bombarded with messages in society, and some of them are not always positive, messages. And it's very hard for young people to try to navigate that and find their place, in the world. And I think giving them that strong Catholic foundation strengthens their ability to make positive decisions as they get a little bit older and they're facing peer pressure and outside influences. From many of the alumni that I've seen, not only here but also from my former students teaching in high school, they've said that this has made a world of difference in their lives.
What is the projection of growth now? Because you're able to add on, like as the school grows,
Right.
the third grade and you have a fourth grade. Now, hopefully, where's that going?
Well, eventually we'd love to be a full K-8 academy once again. If these past couple years with COVID have taught me anything, it's that we can't predict the future. Never in a million years would I have thought that my first year as a principal I'd have to be running a school remotely. They don't teach you how to do that.
You had remote, but you also had in-class presence, right?
Well, last year we were in class full year.
Right.
In 2019, when COVID happened, everyone had to switch to remote. So I don't know what the future brings, but being a Catholic educator, I'm a person of faith. I have faith that no matter what path the school takes down, it's going to be the right one. Because
rebirth is the key word, like
yes,
you said.
Exactly.
That's the basis of our faith, isn't it?
Exactly.
Good. Thank you so much for sharing your vision for the Catholic school here.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you for being with us. I hope you enjoyed this look at a little slice of life in Flushing Whitestone at St. Mel's Parish. Until next time, I hope you'll join us again. I'm Ed Wilkinson. See you next time.